I'm so sorry.
Fatima, you'd fit right in with me and my cousins.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah, you'll fit right in with us.
Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up telling them, and I mean, that night was really hard, actually. Um, and the next morning, we all woke up, and it was like as though nothing had happened. They were like, "Oh yeah, you're still planning on fasting and praying with us." And I remember trying to change the subject because I realized all I could think of was they have no clue what, like, they're totally oblivious to what happened the night before.
Mm.
And so I remember going upstairs after that conversation with them about like the next day and how Ramadan was coming up. And I felt like on my heart, God was like, "You need to read Ezekiel."
All right. So got a few people. I see I'm gonna go Golden Standard Fatima, Kionush Alavi, in that order. I think that might be all I have time for, honestly, but let's see. Depending on how these go. Golden Standard, how you doing, brother?
What's up, man? How you doing, man? I be watching your shows all the time, dog. And man, I ain't gonna lie, you done helped me out a lot. So,
Yeah, praise God.
Yeah, man. I didn't originally grow up Muslim. I actually grew up Hebrew Israelite, and you know, my father he was big into the Hebrew Israelite thing. Maybe until I was like 7, 8 years old, then he converted over to Christianity. But my conversion didn't happen. Yeah. My conversion didn't happen right away. Yeah. So yeah, he got remarried, converted over to Christianity, right? But my conversion didn't happen right away. So
I don't mean to stop you, but it's fascinating because you're the first person that I'm talking to that was born into like a Hebrew Israelite household. I don't think I've met someone yet that's grew up in that at first.
Yeah. I mean, even my last name, my lineage, everything, like, you can trace it. I mean, I come from a long generation of Hebrew Israelites.
Wow.
So I was like maybe 9, 10 years old when my father, he got remarried and he married a Christian girl and he converted over to Christianity. Well, with me, I was still learning the faith and still learning everything and stuff like that. But once I had turned like maybe 16, 17, I kind of started getting a little integrated into the church a little bit like that. Not too much, but I would go around and do little stuff at my dad's church and stuff like that. But I wasn't fully aware of the gospel or how God. Hold on, give me a second.
All right.
Go ahead. My bad about that. But I wasn't too aware about the gospel and how Jesus loved us or whatever or whatnot, right? So I want to say I was around about 20 years old. I'm 30 now. I was around 20 years old and my father had passed away. Okay. And I went through a real dark place in my life where, I was questioning everything. I was doing all types of stuff. And I came across this Muslim guy. And, he was talking to me. And at the time, everything had seemed, I was like, man, this seems like something that I want to do. So I went through, I got involved with Islam and started talking to him a little bit. And it was like the more and more that I started reading the Quran and studying Islam, it was just a lot of stuff that didn't make sense to me because I knew a little bit about Christianity, but I didn't know too much, so it was like the more and more I started studying Islam, just things weren't making sense to me, right? I had questions, and every time I went to go ask questions, I would always get circular answers and circular arguments, and nothing was ever clear and concise. So I was always like super confused, like, man, what am I doing here? So I slowly, like, back in like 2021, 2022, I kind of had got back into Christianity a little bit, but I still had like a lot of questions, because I was doing the Islam thing, but I was also trying to figure out a little bit more about Christianity. So I would compare and contrast the two. I'm like, well, hold on. One thing is saying one thing here, and one thing is saying one thing here. And I wasn't smart enough at the time to really actually like understand exactly what I was reading and notice all the contradictions and differences and stuff like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's crazy because like after all of that, like I kind of had took like a agnostic route. I'm like, this is all confusing. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know what to believe, right? I'm like, I hear this, I hear that. I don't know exactly what to believe. So then maybe about a year and a half, 2 years ago, I came across a Tanakh. Okay, came across a Tanakh and I started reading one, and I was like, oh, I didn't know at the time. I didn't know at the time that the Tanakh was just purely Jewish religion. But I was reading it, and I was noticing different things in like Isaiah and Daniel and different little chapters and stuff like that. And it was already prophesying the return of Jesus, right? So I'm like, wait, hold on. And it was like, I would go and ask certain people certain questions, and I couldn't get the answers to the questions that I was asking, right? So I had a buddy of mine, maybe 6-7 months ago. He was like, yo, bro, he's like, I want you to look up these two dudes on YouTube. I said, who? He's like, Sam Shamoon and God Logic. I said, okay. So I start checking you guys out. And I mean, the way that you guys were breaking everything down to me was, I mean, it was perfect. It was concise. And I was still dealing with the Islam thing, because I was still trying to I was still trying to understand like exactly, the parallels and how they're related and how they're separate and all of that, right? And then I still had those questions though, like why there's so many contradictions. I came across a video that you did called The Islamic Dilemma, and the same thing that you were noticing, I was noticing as well, but I didn't know how to put it into words, right? So I'm sitting here and I'm looking and I'm like, wait a minute, this all makes sense. So maybe like a couple of months ago, I had a Muslim friend, and I was studying the Islamic Dilemma that you were telling me about, and a few things about like Aisha and all of that, right? So I went down, I was talking to my Muslim friend or whatever, and I was just trying to give him the gospel a little bit. And in my realization of speaking to him, I actually found my own, like, you get what I'm saying? Like I was telling him about certain things because he wanted me to explain the Trinity to him. And I kind of gave him like a brief analogy on, what the Trinity is, and the distinctive characteristics between God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit, but how they're all still one and together, right? And while I was speaking to him, I don't know what had possessed me because it was just coming out so normally and so fluently. Yeah. And he sat back and he looked at me and he was like, damn, bro, nobody's ever put it to me that way. Right. and so I started like reading and doing like a lot of research, and I'm still learning the Bible, man. There's still stuff that I'm learning, and but ever since I got this newfound sense of peace, I watch you guys every day. I study all of the chapters that you guys have us look up, and I mean, I think it's the best decision that I've ever made to leave that whole Islam thing alone. Yeah, leave that whole Islam thing alone and come home to Jesus Christ. So,
dude, that's so awesome. Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I got family out there. That's dope. Because I like how you're just weaving the story together. I'm with you. I'm following along. I felt like I was there in the room with you talking to your friend, and I'm like, because it's so relatable, man. It's so a lot of people don't know how to navigate so much information that's out there. Like, what is the truth? How do you come to it? And a lot of people don't do the due diligence like what you did and actually studied and compared and contrast and then follow the evidence where it leads. A lot of people don't do that. Yeah. So, man, praise God for you.
Well, it was hard originally at first because when I started, because I grew up like I said, my father converted over to Christianity when I was like 8 or 9 years old. So I was somewhat familiar with the gospel, but I wasn't like all the way in tune with it. But then when I had made that whole switch over to Islam and I started reading the Quran, it was just little small things that I would notice, and I'm like, wait, hold on, that don't make sense. that ain't connected. That don't make sense. And so once I started like slowly putting pieces together, I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. So I had a question for you. So like, when it comes to, because I got a lot of Muslim friends and stuff like that, and now I'm still just learning the gospel, and I'm still on my journey of getting closer to Christ. So like, how would I go about telling them, hey, look, this isn't the route that you want to go down. This is gonna lead you straight to hell. Yeah. You need to come over here. Like, what would be the first thing that I would like tell them, or how could I introduce them to the love of Christ?
Well, the best way that I say to have these conversations is to ask questions. So if you notice how when I talk to these people, whether it don't matter, Jehovah's Witnesses, Hebrew Israelites, Muslims, I ask questions. But the questions that I'm asking is leading them somewhere. It's getting them to think, because when I ask them questions, they say the words, it makes it real, and they have to think about what they just said, right? Yeah. So I might just start off the conversation might be like, hey, have you guys ever noticed, because these are your friends, so you already have relationships with them, right? So I would probably ask them, have y'all ever looked into the difference between Jesus in Islam and Jesus in the Bible? Have y'all like looked at that lately? You know, maybe they haven't, maybe they have a little bit or whatever, but that's a good conversation starter. You can go from there depending on which person. And then you can demonstrate how Jesus in the Bible is the true Jesus versus this caricature Isa that they have in the Quran. But that's how you can lead that conversation. Make sense? So
because the way I had explained the Trinity to him, it was, you know, I'm not like all super in depth, but I basically explained it as like, you know, me being a father, me having a son, you get what I'm saying, and bestowing all of the rights onto him, you know. And when I broke it down to him like that, I was like, and I also, because what he was trying to get at, which what I was struggling with for a long time too. I never understood how Jesus could be God until I actually started reading, until I actually started like just reading. And I think I read, I think it was in Isaiah, or it was, I believe it was in Isaiah, but when they had talked about where they were going to send a, what was it? I can't remember it word for word, but it was something about like he's going to come from the root of David or Jacob or something like that. And, you know, and it was talking about like the different, and that was something that, because I was talking to a Jewish dude as well, and he was trying to use that as a way to prophesy the Messiah coming, and the Messiah hasn't been here yet. But then once I actually started reading everything, I'm like, hold on, nah, this aligns with everything. You get what I'm saying? Like this was already done.
He already did it. Been there, done that. Yeah.
I think so. Like, because the main thing that a lot of my Muslim friends ask me now that I'm on this whole Christianity thing now is they don't understand the Trinity or how Jesus could be God in the flesh. And the main thing that they always hit me with is, well, how can God come down to earth? And, you know, like I said, I'm still new on my Bible study, so it's hard for me to really articulate that to them in a way where they'll understand and be like, oh, I got it, I get it.
Well, I think a large part of this is they have a wall of Islam built up, brother. They're not going, I'm gonna be real with you, until you break down the wall of Islam, they will not be open to the gospel or the deity of Christ and how that works. It's not going to hit for them. It's just reality. The wall of Islam has to be destroyed first, and then miraculously, I promise you, it's like a miracle. Miraculously, all of a sudden, the deity of Christ makes sense. God coming in the flesh makes sense. Jesus dying for my sins makes sense. Once the wall of Islam is crushed. So, but what I like to do is this. Can you hear me? Oh, it looks like you're there. Are they in the room with you? All right. All right, I'll just read some super chats until the brother can get back to this. Let's see. And we got SF49er in the house saying, having a special stream on my birthday, man. I'd wear that Muslim cat shirt. My son's cat always meowing at me. Oh, my goodness. Get rid of the cat. Got Sort of Truth Apologetics says, Jesus Christ as the Messiah, King, and God, Yahweh, is the most well-known fact we have according to the composite probability, 1 in 10 to the 17th power that he's not, meaning he is. See, science speaks. Let's see here. When Slimmies ask me how I possibly can eat bacon, I tell them with my hands. Yeah, silly.
My bad, man. Go ahead.
It's all good. It's all good. Yeah. So
yeah, man.
So this is what I like to do. What I like to do is I like to flip or turn the tables in these conversations. So the objections that they're raising against the deity of Christ, how could God take on flesh? How could God come to earth? I flip it to them, right? And I show them how these objections actually work against the law. Okay. So what you have
I heard you ask a question one time. You said, is like God all knowing or capable of doing all things? Or is Allah all knowing or all capable of doing one thing of all things? But my fault to cut you off. There was something that I noticed in the Quran as well, too, where they kind of anamorphize, they kind of anamorphize Allah. Yeah, they kind of anamorphize. And so in my mind, I think like, well, okay, if you guys are already giving him human characteristics here, why wouldn't it be possible for him to come down as a human?
Exactly.
It's just little things like that, It's just little things like that.
It gets better because you literally have in the Quran and you have in the Hadith where Allah comes down to creation. The Hadith says that Allah comes down to the lowest heaven at every third of every night, asking who is it that prays to him, who is it that is supplicating. And it said, the hadith says that he does this until daybreak. So there's a time frame in which Allah is coming down to creation and interacting and until daybreak. So if they have this problem with God coming down to creation, then say to them, ask them. So then if you have this problem, then you have to have this problem with Allah, who says that he comes down to the lowest heaven every night, right? Now, if they ask you the source, here it is. I'll give it to you. This is, let's see.
Hey, is there any way that I could DM you or something, man? Because I watch your videos. Literally, it's funny because I fell asleep watching one of your videos this morning.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. I probably spend majority of my day when I'm not working or at the gym listening to God Logic and Sam Shamoon.
So look, so here's the hadith. It's Sahih Muslim 758b. Okay.
I'm screenshot this.
Yeah, screenshot this. This is on YouTube. You can rewind this back on the 2.0 channel and everything, so you can have this. So it says, Abu Hurairah reported Allah's messenger, Muhammad, saying, Allah descends every night to the lowest heaven when 1/3 of the first part of the night is over, and says, I am the Lord who is there to supplicate me so that I answer him, who is there to beg of me so that I grant him, who is there to beg forgiveness from me so that I forgive him. He continues like this till the day breaks. Okay. So they can't argue that in their religion, God doesn't come to creation, because yes, he does. Every night he comes to creation for a time span. Right.
Yep. So
these are examples like that. Save that, have that in your repertoire, and you'll be able to have a good time with that. Now, but stuff like that, if you learn to flip the tables when they're bringing objections, we'll be like, well, no, if you got to be consistent. If this is a problem for Jesus, then you have to say this is a problem for Allah. If this is a problem for Jesus, you have to say this is a problem for Muhammad, yada, yada, yada. That's flipping the tables. That's what helps bring the walls down. So then they're like, okay, well, I see what you're saying. I guess I see that, I do that all the time in my discussions.
Yeah, I see that. You'll basically take you'll take a question that they may ask you and you flip it back on them. Yeah, it's brilliant how you do that, man. So I got another question for you. Is it important for me to find like a church? Because like right now I don't really have a church. And if I was to go to a church, does the denomination matter? Like Pentecost, Baptist, Orthodox, like does any of that matter?
Not in the long run. What matters is your spiritual growth and your edification, and then also where you can serve as well. So you want to go to a church that's teaching Bible, that's teaching truth of God, teaching the truth of Scripture, where you can build and grow in community, that can hold you accountable, that just doesn't whitewash the gospel and present the gospel as if it's cotton candy and Skittles, but no, like they're raw and true when it comes to the Scripture and the Word of God. Okay.
So I got another question too. I'm not like one of these like extreme radicals or anything like that, but in Leviticus and I believe in Deuteronomy and Numbers, like there's like a set of laws and policies that a lot of people still have to live by. Like, and I don't know if that's just Jewish tradition or if that still applies to Christians as well. For instance, like the kosher and certain things that we still can and cannot do. And I've always had a little problem with that a little bit, because I sometimes felt like as Christians, like we kind of cherry pick kind of what it is, what laws or what commandments that we choose to want to follow.
Yeah.
So
if you want to follow and observe the laws in the Torah, you can do that, but do not do that for your salvation, and don't condemn others for if they don't uphold the Jewish customs and the Torah laws. You're going to hell or you're not right with God. Right? That's not the gospel. Okay. So if you feel in yourself convicted to uphold the Torah laws, observe the holy days and Sabbath days and all that kind of good stuff, be my guest, do your thing, bro. You're not wrong with that at all, because you still had the apostles. They still held to the laws. They still held to Jewish custom and the traditions, not for their salvation, but because Christ fulfilled those. And so it's actually a way of honoring Christ to them. Right.
Okay, man.
But read Acts 15. Read Acts 15, because they'll say, because they argued this, should Christians be following the law? Do they have to get circumcised and follow the law of Moses in order to be saved? Acts 15 breaks this down, and so they did not apply the law of Moses on the Gentiles, but there were certain things that they were abstain.
And so did a lot of those old covenants, I'm not gonna say necessarily do away, but did they kind of like become dormant when Jesus came down and saved everyone?
He fulfilled it
so
all.
like we don't have to necessarily get circumcised or keep the Sabbath or follow kosher and stuff like that now because Jesus came through and it's a new covenant, right?
All of these things were a shadow of what was to come, and the substance is Christ, and that's literally what Colossians says. Colossians, I think it's 3:11. It says, "Do not allow anyone to judge you on holy days and Sabbath days and feasts and what you eat, because all of these are shadows, and the substance is in Christ. He fulfilled all of this." So we're living in the fulfillment, not in the shadow. We're living in the fulfillment, right? Okay. So yeah.
Well, thanks, man. I must keep coming in, man. Staying in tone and keep listening up, man. Thank you so much for your service, and man, the Lord bless you because you're doing this work, and I don't know where I would be right now if it wasn't for you and Sam Shamoon, man. So thank you.
No, God bless you, man, and may God increase you in your wisdom, your knowledge, your encouragement, your boldness. Keep growing, man. Keep growing in wisdom. Stay humble. And God will take you so many places, bro.
All right, man. Thanks, man. It was nice meeting you.
You too, bro. Peace.
Yeah.
All right. So I said after him, I would do Fatima. But Fatima, hold on 1 second, because there's somebody here that I actually did this stream for in the first place. Okay. And he's here now. I just lost him, actually. Where are you? Omar. Oh, there he is. There we go.
Wow, I cannot believe it, man.
Man, isn't it? It's like what, 4 a.m. where you're at right now?
It is, man. Hey, look, I was here since 1 a.m. But but I didn't see the live. I thought you were maybe busy, like you're not gonna do it today. So I went away for like an hour, and when I came back, I found that you were online, and so I came on.
Well, welcome to the platform. Welcome to God Logic 2.0. My guy Omar, man. So he's you're the one that prompted me to do this stream today, and so
I'm really honored, bro.
Right now, I'm honored, man. I'm honored to have not just you, but all the brothers and sisters here that got the courage to share, and because this goes a long way, man. It goes beyond this. There's thousands of people that will watch this later, Muslims that are hearing this now and will hear this later, and that I know it'll break some chains. It'll break something within some of them. So,
amen, brother.
So talk to us. You left Islam. You serve the Lord now. How did it start? How did it begin? And then how did you get here?
Okay. Wow. Yeah. First of all, brother, thank you so much for having me. I'm really happy. I'm really excited to be here. So where can I start? I'm going to try to keep it as brief as possible because I don't, it can get a little long. So a quick introduction, about me is, I'm from Morocco. I'm also half Iraqi, but I've never been to Iraq. And I grew up in Morocco. I was born into of course, a Muslim family, but my parents were not really practicing or even really believed in Islam, especially my father. I didn't know this about him at the time. He was very religious before he got married, but but then he left Islam. He became more of a secular kind of scholar, secular, kind of atheist, agnostic. So we grew up with me and my brother. We grew up very free, free thinking. We didn't have any you got to be Muslim, you got to believe in this.
Interesting.
Okay. Yeah, I actually got into Islam on my own. I was when I heard about God, I think it was at school, because I went to American school in Morocco, and I think it was a kid. I don't know if it was something that had to do with pork or whatever, and he was like, "No, you're a Muslim," and I was like, "What is a Muslim?" I didn't even know what a Muslim was, and so I went home and I asked my dad. I said, "Dad, what is a Muslim?" Someone said that I'm a Muslim. He's like, "Okay, all right, son, come here, sit down. Let me tell you about it." And so my dad is the kind of man who doesn't like to tell people what to believe, especially when it comes to religion. He's like, "Okay, look, we're considered Muslim. Here's why. Here's why. He never said we're not Muslim. He never said he doesn't believe in Islam, or that you don't have to believe in it, or that you do have to believe in it. It's very strange. Yeah. I don't completely agree with that approach, but I do respect him for that, because he gave us the freedom to choose, and he didn't try to pull us in any direction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so so he was like, so Islam is a religion, and God and Muhammad and all these things, and I was like, wow, I was impressed. Of course, when we ask about Islam, we're always told the nice things about Islam, right? We're never told all the other stuff, So I was like, man, and so for me, like, I think I was like around 7 or something. I was really young. I was like 7 maybe, or probably even 6. I can't remember. Somewhere around that age. And I just wanted to know God, man, because I was like something just really touched me, and I was like, I want to know who my creator is. I really want to know God. So I had 1,000 questions. I was asking my dad all the time. Anyone who I found who knew anything about God or about the religion or the Quran or whatever, I just had all these questions. And of course, I did. I was told that there are other religions, but that we don't belong to them, and so Islam is the best, and all these things. And so so as a kid, of course, I like Islam was the one that was more accessible to us, right? So I naturally went towards that at first. But so and so I was really serious about it. I was really serious about wanting to know God, and anything that steered my heart in the way of like being merciful, being kind, being humble, all the good qualities. I just gravitated towards them, and I try to embody them in my own life. And so, but very quickly, especially when I got a little older, 10. So between the ages of 10 and 12, I started to start reading like the Quran for myself, and I really wanted to know. And I was seeing all these kind of things in society. Of course, you cannot 100% judge a religion based on the what people do, but
right,
like
right.
when you see the majority, something is the norm. It does have something to do with the religion. I'm sorry, like I know that Muslims like to say no, like you shouldn't look at people. You should just look at the religion, but there is some truth to to how it affects people, especially when it's the majority.
Yep.
Yeah, and so I was like, man. Anyway, so I started reading the Quran, and I'm like, the verse that really got to me was it's in chapter 2. I forgot which verse, but I'm sure you know it because you know all the verses of the Quran.
Is it verse 62 about the different groups going to heaven?
Huh?
Is it verse 62 about the Jews, the Christian Sabians?
No, it's I don't remember what verse, but I know like what it says. It says something along the lines of, those who do not believe in Allah will close their ears, their eyes, and their hearts, so that they may never know Him. And then to those people, to those will be a severe punishment at the end. Do you know what that one is?
I don't remember it.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I mean it's not like too deep into the it's like somewhere like somewhere in the beginning, I think. And when I read that, man, I was 12. And I was like, man, this. Sorry, hold on. Let me just get a drink of water.
Yeah, get the water, man. Yeah, we got to hear it all. Yeah, stay refreshed, stay hydrated. Yeah,
that's right. Oh man. Yeah. So as soon as I read that, man, I was like, something inside me just said, this is not God. This cannot be God. Impossible.
At 10 or 12, you're thinking this?
12. Yes.
12. Uh-oh. You got that Jabril connection.
There it is.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Like, so I was like, so to be really honest, like the first feeling, like the first thought that came to my mind was like, this seems more like the devil than God. Like this, honestly, what came to me. I was like, how can God be this sadistic? Like if someone cannot believe in Him for whatever reason. I mean, like, because because verses like this for me was like, it's almost as if the Quran is suggesting that people are disbelieving in him, are not believing in him on purpose, like, kind of like, like to make him angry, like. And I saw that and I was like, no, I mean, like maybe someone doesn't know God, like maybe someone never really was convinced, maybe someone had a bad experience with religion, whatever the reason was. Like, why would God do this to people? Why wouldn't he be more patient with them, especially because he's their creator? So anyway, it didn't make sense to me, so I left it. And that's when I was like, so I went to my dad, because me and my dad were very close, and I told him, listen, man, I don't believe in God. So I didn't just stop believing in Islam. I stopped believing in God altogether. And then that's when my dad told me, yeah, I don't believe in God too. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I don't, yeah, I mean, I believe that Islam has, some good things and some messed up things, but I just take the good things and I just try to implement them in my life. And kind of like a cultural, Muslim, there's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I do know that we don't hear about them often, but they do exist, and they're just not very vocal about it, right? They're just very low key.
Yeah.
But so yeah, and so me and my dad, we became even closer after that, because now I know he doesn't believe and I don't believe, and so we became very close friends. And I became, like, for the next 2 years, I became kind of like an atheist. I didn't believe in anything spiritual. And
wow, at 12.
Yeah. I mean, I'm an old soul, so I was more mature than kids my age at that age. So
yeah. Clearly. Goodness.
Yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's crazy, like, talking about it now. But what else? Yeah, so for those 2 years, I was not believing in anything, but at the same time, because I was also a martial artist from a very young age. Around that same age, when I was leaving Islam, when I was still in Islam but about to leave, I was also studying about martial arts and about the history of martial arts, and that led me towards the spirituality behind martial arts, which is more connected to Buddhism. Okay, and this is where this is the like the interesting part, is that after that I started gravitating towards Buddhism. Really embraced it for a huge portion of my life. After that, it defined me in so many ways, like. And the thing that really attracted me to Buddhism, because at that time when I left Islam, I didn't want to have anything to do with God anymore. And Buddhism was a religion that still had spirituality, but it never mentioned anything about who God is, who our creator is, who we should worship. That's not the focus of Buddhism, especially Zen Buddhism, the type of Buddhism that I was practicing. All Zen Buddhism does is it focuses on the nature of the mind. So you want to know your mind. You want to know what you're like. It's like the nature of your mind, who you really are, beyond your upbringing, beyond your belief system, all this kind of stuff. So that really impressed me. I wanted to know myself too. I wanted to know, the nature of my mind and all these things. And so I did. I got into all of that. I started practicing meditation, like, seriously, and everything. This was around the time when the internet became was introduced into the world, and so we had the internet in our country too. I used to go to the cyber cafe because at that time it was expensive to have it at home. So I used to go. Yeah.
Wow.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry about my connection. I
can hear you. You're good.
Okay. Good. Okay. Thank you. Good. And so I used to go to the cyber cafe, spend the whole day, sometimes like hours. Sometimes I would even like skip school just to go to the cyber cafe, stay all day there, studying Buddhist scriptures all day. I was obsessed.
Wow.
I was studying so kind of like how you studied, the early church fathers and all these things. I was studying like the early monks of Buddhism, and so. I was like, I'm just getting into the early church fathers since the past year or two, but all my life, man, I was into the whole Buddhist tradition, the monks and all the the saints and all the the sages of Buddhism. Later, I started getting into other forms of spirituality, but yeah, and so something. Okay, so there was a point when something started to happen. At the age of 14, I had this really strange experience that I'd never had before. I was going back home from school on my bike, and so I would always take the same road back home. On that day, right before I got to the turn where that I usually turn after this long road. So before that last turn, there was there was a previous turn. So at the previous turn, something that I'd never experienced before happened. I heard this voice, like very distinct, very present. It said, "Be careful, stop. Don't take the same road that you do every day. Take this one today." And it felt like I was being warned, but by who? I had no idea. I was like, what the hell did just happen? Am I going crazy? Because I knew this was not coming from me. I was lost in my own thoughts. I was just imagining stuff, and like kids do, and I just lost in my thoughts. But this thought that came from somewhere interrupted my own thoughts.
Yeah,
it's very hard to explain, and it was so strong that I had to stop my bicycle, and I stayed there for like about 5 minutes, just trying to figure out what happened. And I was like, man. And then I was like, oh, come on, man. You don't believe in this. You don't believe in God or angels. Come on. Of course, that's just your subconscious. Like, what else could it be? Of course, it's, come on, don't be ridiculous. So I ignored it and I continued. And as soon as I turned in that last turn that I always take, that the voice was warning me about, as soon as I turned, man, just a few feet away, there was a group of older kids. And they saw me, and they chased me, and they so I noticed that they saw me, and they were like trying to grab my bike, and I started to paddle. Anyway, they took me down and everything. They took all my stuff, and then later, from out of nowhere, one of them was like, "Hey man, we're just messing around with you, man. Like do you think we're gonna take your stuff?" And then he told all his friends to give me back all my stuff, and I got all my stuff back. And I was in shock, but I was trying to show them that I'm prepared to fight. But I was really scared,
Yeah,
because I was expecting that, So I got my bike back and everything. I couldn't believe it. And then as I was going home, it's almost as if I felt like the voice was saying, "I told you. So next time you listen to me."
Yeah. I'll be cut out again.
Later, hello? Okay.
There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Was 3 years later. 3 years later, I was 17 years old, coming back, going back home on a Saturday night from a martial arts class. It was about 9-ish, p.m. And the same thing happened, so mind you, it was 3 years later. So this experience didn't come like frequently. It was very rare. And so I was on the main road, like this different road, so going back home.
Oh man, this time his connection really cut out. Bounced him out of here. Wow. All right, well, let's read some super chats until he gets back. Isaiah 46:10, I declare the end from the beginning. Peter Stoner did a university study on just 8 prophecies, and the probability of one man fulfilling 8 prophecies is 1 in 10 to the 17th power. Yeah, incredible. All right, he's back. There we go.
Thank you. I'm sorry about that.
It's all right.
Sorry about that, guys. I'm staying a little far from the city, so the connection is not the best. But anyway, yeah. So okay. So now this time, so I was just like 2 minutes away from the street where I live. Right, I was on the main road, but the small street where I live. 2 minutes away, and this voice comes back again and says, "Hey, get off the main road, and just go into the small alleys, and that's how you should go home. Just get off the main road now." And I said to myself, well, I kind of spoke back. I was like, you know what? The first time I heard you, warn me, I kind of ignored you, and I saw what happened. So I'm gonna try to I'm gonna try to listen to you this time. I don't know who you are, but I don't feel anything evil or anything from you. I feel like a lot of benevolence. I don't believe in God. I don't know God, but hey, look, I'm gonna listen to you. So I did what I did what the voice said. I got off the main road. I went into the small streets, the small alleys. So I got back home that way. And the next day, by the way, when I heard the voice, I looked at my watch and it said 9:13 p.m. I don't know why. I don't know why I looked at my watch, but I did, and I remember distinctly 9:13 p.m. So anyway, I got back home. I slept. So the next day, this friend, this girl from high school, calls me, and she's crying. She's crying, like sobbing. And I was like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" And she's like, Ali just died." I was like, so Ali was one of our friends from school, and he was dating her at that time. I was like, "What happened?" She said, He died. I was like, "What happened? What happened? Come on, tell me, just calm down." And she was like, "Didn't you hear? There was a huge accident right next to like between the street where you live and the main road." And I was like, "Really?" And he was like, "Yeah, like they were going like in this like big Jeep thing, or sorry, like a big car or whatever. I don't think it was a Jeep, but anyway, 4x4, I think. And yeah, and so and they were drunk, and the car just flipped, and a lot of people got hurt, like people who were like pedestrians, every kind of people got hurt. A lot of people got hurt, and I was like, and that's when I remembered the voice from from last night. I was like, wait, hold on, what time did this happen? And I'm not even making this up, man. She said 9:15 p.m. She said like around 9:15 p.m. And that's man. And when she said that, man, I was like, I started saying, you know what, man, I think I believe in God, man. Like there's someone is looking after me, someone's looking.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was the beginning of my like serious search about answers. I did not jump to Islam. I did not look for a religion. My path was different. I was just so at that point, like since I left Islam, I kind of made my decision that I'm never gonna like embrace any religion anymore. Like I'm done with religion. You know what I mean? Like faith-based, whatever. I wanted to know, and this desire to know, it came from a good place, but it also had its own like downfall, disadvantage in my life, because so now I was searching. I was like, okay, I know someone spoke to me. I want to know how I can have access to the spirit world. And so I got into mysticism, and later got into Hinduism and Buddhism. Yoga, all these things. I was never really a new age kind of person. That was never me. I was always someone who loved the traditional aspect of things. So I don't have any tattoos and anything like that. I'm not like the crazy new age people were. But I really wanted to know. So, and at that time, I got into Rastafarianism. Okay, and that was my and so there was a link between that and Buddhism, because Buddhists are vegetarian. Rastafarians are also vegetarian. But this was like something for me that was like, I don't know, but it gave me the things that I was missing from Buddhism, and it also kind of reconnected me to the concept of God, because I know that that Rastas are mainly, I mean, not all of them, because there are different ones, but they're mainly like biblical, so they read the Bible. That was my first introduction to the Bible. But at that time, I was not interested in who Jesus was, if Jesus is God or not. I really that was not my focus. And like now, I kind of see it as if God was trying to reach me, but I was not, I was not paying attention, or the attention that he wanted me to pay.
Right.
And by the way, please, if you feel like interjecting, just feel free. If you want to ask anything more. Yeah. Anyway, so anyway, I let my hair grow. Had dreadlocks and beard and everything.
I can picture it. I can see it.
Yes. So yeah, I never smoked a cigarette in my life, but at that time I was really interested in the herb, right? I wanted to know, because it had because it had so like mystical aspect, like it opens up the consciousness. I wanted to know consciousness. I wanted to expand my consciousness. I wanted to have access to some so invisible realities of life, so to speak. I wanted to know, but all of this was not I was not interested in like contacting entities or whatever. I was more interested in the source of life, like God, right? But I was
Yeah.
not calling him God all the time. But anyway, I went through that. A lot of other experiences came, dreams, visions, all these things. Um, and one of them was, sorry, yes,
No, go ahead, because it's this. I want to hear this.
okay. And so around this time, so yeah, so from the age of like 18, 19, this was when I was like, getting into this. And it was, because Buddhism, was giving me a lot of knowledge about my own mind, my own self and everything. It was also helping me with the consciousness, the things that I was seeking at that time. But I was also becoming very rigid. And so the Rasta way of life kind of like allowed me to like just like take it easy a little bit, because I was too serious about stuff. And it just, Rasta had that kind of aspect of, just live naturally, like don't take things too harshly, too serious. Of course, you got to have principles.
Yeah.
I was never a hippie, so to speak. I was, because like the difference between Rasta and hippie, hippies like just like do whatever they want, like take all kinds of substances. But Rasta have more of a like they're more like they're more principled. They have more principles, but at the same time, it depends, right? So I started getting influenced even by like Bob Marley, great guy, right? Like a really great guy, but at the same time, I was also starting to become have like a lot of girlfriends and like don't care about their feelings and like it's all about love. It's okay. Everything's gonna be all right. It's something really bothered me like when I was doing that, because I was like, man, I'm obviously hurting like these girls' feelings and it's not sitting well with me, like. And anyway, I was confused, man, but I was also searching. I was searching, and I was like, yeah. Anyway,
How did you
but
how did you come upon Christ? Because you're going through this, and at this point, you're not really interested in knowing who Jesus is and really Christianity. What was it that pricked your interest into Jesus eventually?
yes, yeah. Sorry. So yeah. So let me just go through this like a little quicker. I'm just giving the context for Christ, right? So
Mm-hmm.
um, um, at one point I started like okay, so yeah, so basically my all this journey from leaving Islam was a journey of knowledge. I wanted to know, I wanted to acquire knowledge. That was my aim. I was not trying to, I mean, yes, I would feel every now and then that there was a God that I had to worship, but I wanted to know who he is. But I was confused about who he was. And so I was like, you know what? Let me just like, I know there's a creator. I don't need to know who he is. Let me just love him and worship him, even though I don't know his exact identity. And
Mm-hmm.
I kind of like, just had like this universal understanding of God. I kind of still do too, but I mean, a little bit differently now, because I'm a Christian now, but and so yeah, and so I would pray and I'll be like, hey, could you, like, God, if you're there, if you're listening, could you please, I have a, I mean, I have so many questions, and one of them, I want to know what happens after death. Does something happen? Do we go somewhere? Does everything just stop? Is this all just in our head? I really want to know. And brother, so let me tell you the story before I get to like how I became a Christian, because this part is really, really interesting.
Mm.
Uh, and by the way, all this, I already like made videos about this. I spoke about this. It's on my social media too. People can check it out. And I'm also writing a book about all these things that happened to me, like in full
Oh,
detail.
wow. Nice.
Yeah, yeah. And so I was praying to God, like, please show me a sign. I just want to know. I just want to know. I don't want to be that kind of person who just believes because it feels good. And so that was my fear. That was always my fear. I didn't want to fall into that category of just believing because it feels good or because it's
Right.
convenient. And I really wanted to know what was real. But there's a fine line between seeking knowledge, because some knowledge is not for us to know, right? And just being like having blind faith. So I was trying to situate myself somewhere in between. And so out of nowhere, like after some time, few years or whatever, something happened. In 2011, I was dating this girl. She was from another city, and she told me about her dad, who had cancer. I never met him. He never met me. But I was, as someone who was interested in natural healing, diet, and all these things, like I was also following, Dr. Sibi. I don't know if you heard about Dr. Sibi.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah. And so I was like trying to help her dad through her, And then she later told me that my dad really appreciated the help because I told him about you. He asked me like, where are you bringing these herbs from? And she said, yeah, like I know this guy and he's trying to help you out. And he was very touched. He was really touched, like about me trying to help him. And soon after that, we fell apart. She was busy. I was busy. Our relationship just stopped. And after a few months, man, I see this guy in my dream out of nowhere. And I kind of know that it's her dad. I don't know how, but and he says, thank you so much for trying to help me. I just came to like personally say thank you to you. God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. But my time is up. I have to leave. And that's exactly what he said. I have to leave. Take care of yourself. Goodbye. I woke up and I was like, is it what I think it is? No. Come on. I don't want to think. I mean, maybe it's not her dad, but I felt like a strong sensation that was her dad. And I saw him physically too. I never saw him, like even in a picture. I saw this man physically. And I was like, no, come on. I was hoping to help him, at least live long.
Yeah.
That very morning, my girlfriend or ex-girlfriend's aunt at the time, who lived in my city, who knew me, she calls me, or she contacts me on Facebook rather. This is 2011. And she tells me that her father just passed away that very night. And I know this is not something like I know these things happen to a lot of people, but I was not believing in these things. That's why I was so amazed. I was like, wow.
Right.
And then later, like I spoke to the girl and I told her about this, and I even told her the man who I saw, and I described him exactly, and she couldn't believe it, man. She said, "That's exactly my father. Like you just described my father to a T."
Mm.
And even then, I was like, "No, this cannot be real, man. It must be a cool coincidence, but it's not real." Bro, the next year, 2012, the same thing happened with the old lady that we know, who was a very close friend of the family.
Yeah.
Who I didn't see and speak to for all her family. I didn't speak to them for like 6 months, and we're very close. But we didn't speak or see each other for 6 months. And then I see her in my dream, and she's like, "Hey, my son, I just came to say goodbye. My time is up." They never say I'm dead. They never say this. They say my time is up. I have to leave. I have to go. And she was she was happy and bye and see you. I wake up. I get a call from her grandson. Not even an hour later. And he calls me to tell me that they just lost their grandmother. And now I'm like my faith in God is increasing. I was like, wow, okay. God, thank you for showing me. Like, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Anyway, fast forward. and I'm sorry if I'm taking a long time. But fast forward, and then a lot of things happen, and I go to India a couple of times. I do a lot of I practice yoga, so I go to this famous place, Sadhguru's ashram. I don't know if you know about Sadhguru. He has a lot of really interesting things. Yeah. And I got really deep into that stuff, and so I acquired a lot of skills, a lot of knowledge, a lot of a lot of knowledge that was that's very helpful, health wise, all these things. And I started teaching these things in Morocco. And I thought that I made it. I thought, okay, I got what I wanted. I got all these answers about the spirit world, and the divine and life. But I still felt something was empty. Something was not there. I didn't know what it was. And then in 2024, so 2 years ago, around July, so in July, I was just at home having lunch, watching TV, and that same voice just came over me again and said, "Go to church."
Of all places.
Yeah. And by the way, hold on. let me just backtrack a little bit. Before I got to this, in the beginning of 2024, so like in like winter, like so like January, February, March, I was feeling that I needed to like worship. I needed to like pray, and I didn't know any other prayer. I never got a full Muslim or anything like that, but I was like, you know what? Let me try to let me try to just pray the Muslim way, like because I don't know what other way to pray,
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna, yeah, but I'm not gonna become a Muslim. I'm just gonna take it like in a spiritual way. I don't know. I was just, I don't know, man. I don't know what I was doing, but I needed God, bro. I really needed God. And I started praying, and my mom's family, who are very religious, they got very, became very happy, and they started to invite me over, and so you're one of us now, because they always knew that I left Islam and everything, because I'm very open about it. I'm very vocal about it.
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, like you're one of us now, like we're gonna find you a wife and this and that. Anyway, but it didn't last. It lasted like not even 2 months, and then I started feeling that uneasiness again. Like something was not right with the Islamic praying and reading the Quran and everything. And I know Muslims sometimes when you say these things to them, they're like, "Nah, it's because something is wrong with you. It's not because."
Right.
Anyway, so I kind of stopped. I kind of drifted off of that. So back to July 2024, that voice came over me and said, go to church. And I started laughing. And I'm really sorry. I have to mention one last thing before that voice. Very important. I make YouTube videos too, and I was making a lot of YouTube videos about spirituality and all these things. And the last video before this happened was I never made it, but I was planning on making it. It was supposed to be to disprove that Jesus is God. I wanted to disprove that Jesus is God, and I wanted to show Christians that they didn't know who Jesus was, and that me, the spiritual guru kind of guy who went to India and did all these things and was a Buddhist in all his life and whatever, had all this crazy, experience. He knows better than Christians, and he knows better than the Bible, and he knows better than this. And I know that Jesus was just a normal man, and he's just a very wise and mystical,
enlightened man.
Yeah, exactly. And I thought, brother, I had these really good arguments. Like, for example, like, Father, why have you forsaken me? Like, I was like, why would he say this if he was, anyways. And every time I sat down to make the video, something stopped me. Like something's like not a feeling. No, someone would knock on the door. Someone I hadn't seen in a long time. My mom would come and say, "Hey, son, I need you for something important. Come down." Someone would call me. Someone would stop me. And then when I finished all that and I came back to make the video, I just felt too tired. Like, you know what? I'll just do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow something else comes up. This never happened to me in 15 years of making videos on YouTube. Never happened to me. Every time I wanted to make a video, it was very easy. I just turn on my camera, I do the video, and then I upload it. I never had anything happen like this. But this was like 4 or 5 days. Every time I try to make this specific video, something just stops me, man. And I was like, and I didn't think, oh, this is God and Jesus is real. I didn't think about it. I was like, man, okay, whatever. I'll just do it some other day. I don't care. That's when just a few days later, I got this voice. And I was like, go to church? I'm not interested in church, man. Like, do you know anything about me? I don't care about religion. I don't care about these things. I definitely am not thinking about becoming a Christian. Brother,
right.
Even as an ex-Muslim and mystic, I was still believing that the Bible was corrupted.
Right.
I was still believing that. I was like, because this is all you hear, And so I was thinking, like, yeah, man, Council of Nicaea, all these things. I got affected by that too. And I was like, why do you, what, of all people, why are you telling me to go to church? I don't know if you're God or my guardian angel. I don't know, but why are you telling me to go to church? And the voice just continued, just go to church, just go to church, just go to church for 3 weeks. 3 weeks. For the first time in my life, this voice didn't leave me for 3 weeks. In the past, this voice came every 3-5 years, once, and then just left.
Right.
This time it stayed. Just go to church. Just go to church. And you know what? I went to church after those 3 weeks. I went to a church mass because yeah. And so when I entered, I went all the way in the front. And it was not my first time in church. I've already been to, I don't know if it was evangelical or something, like when I was in my 20s. A friend of mine took me there and I liked it, but I never thought of anything like, let me join this or whatever. But this time, man, I don't know why, bro. It's as if this time I was ripe.
Yeah.
And it had to happen that time, And so I went there, and this was a Catholic church, so I went to church mass, right? Catholic church. In the front, brother, all I could say is I felt, or I experienced this love that just overwhelmed me, that I've never experienced in my entire life. I mean, I've already had moments when I felt the love of God, and I broke down, and I fell on my knees. This happened to me even when I was 14 years old and stuff like that. But it was just like momentary, and then it just leaves. But this time it was like I just couldn't stop. My shirt was entirely drenched in my tears. I couldn't stop sobbing, and I didn't know why. The only thing I could explain was it felt exactly like I was lost and I was found. Just like that song, Amazing Grace.
Yep.
It felt exactly like an orphan who never knew his parents, and then he finally meets his parents for the first time, and they embrace him. That feeling,
Yeah.
And I also was, telling my friends later about this other experience, this other feeling that I had, this experience that is mentioned in the Bible, but I had no idea because I didn't read the Bible. From a heart of stone to a heart of flesh. I was telling people about this. I was telling them, this is the best way that I could explain what happened to me. It felt like my heart was like a stone, and it cracked open. And the cracking open was very painful because I had to relive all the trauma and all the pain that I've endured throughout my life. But at the same time, this new heart came out, and it was full of love. And at the same time, love was showering from above on me, purifying me like I've never been purified before. And even people who didn't know that this happened to me, the people were asking me like, are you, like, something changed about you? Your eyes are shining. Your face is glowing. Something about you is not the same. You don't look the same. You don't sound the same. Bro, like, and these people didn't even know that that I went to church and I had this stuff happen. They didn't know this. So I kept going, because after I came out from church, I was confused, because I was like, so my heart was in a place, but my mind was confused. Like, so like, what does this have? Like, I mean, like, what does this mean? Does this mean that I'm a Christian now? I don't know if I believe in the teachings in the Bible. I don't know. I don't even know what I don't even know, like, actually, if I'm honest with myself, I don't even know what the Bible actually teaches. I just have ideas. But you know what? I that feeling was like, I have to keep going to church. I didn't stop going to church since then, brother. Since then. Every Sunday I went to church. Every Sunday the same thing happened, especially in the beginning. It was very, very intense. I would sob, bro. I would just weep and sob, and it was not, it was weird, man. It was intense joy, but also reliving some pains at the same time, bro. It was weird. It was both at the same time. And then after a couple of months, I was like, okay, I need to talk to a priest or a pastor or someone. I need to. And so I did. I met with a priest from the church. I asked for it. And so I met with the priest, and I was like, I told him my experience. I met this other priest too, and I started to study with him. He started to, he was very touched about my story, and we became close friends. And he was like, I told him, I want to learn the Bible. I want to study the Bible. And he was like, I mean, if you'd like, I could help you study it. Like, we could read it together. And I was like, okay, like I'm ready to come every day. He was like, no, I can't do every day, but like maybe 2 or 3 times a week. I was like, okay, sure, that's fine. Kept going, kept going. After 2 or 3 months, sorry, after like 2 months, I was like, I told him I want to get baptized. I really do. Because like after reading the Bible, man, it's very strange. I remember long, long, long time ago, like when I just looked at it a little bit, I saw all these miracles and stuff like that, all these supernatural things, and my logical mind, could not accept. But now, after going through all the mysticism and all the spirituality and all the experiences that I had with visions and all these things, everything I was reading the Bible, bro, made perfect sense. I was like, of course these things happen. I know, like these things happen to me too. Like I know this.
Yeah.
It didn't feel weird anymore.
Right.
And so I was like, I was not expecting to, for the Bible to make that much sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I was like, I want to get baptized.
Yeah.
And then he says, you cannot get baptized as a ex-Muslim in a Muslim country, in your own country. So he explained to me, like, of course, you can get baptized in someone's house in private for sure. But if you want to be baptized, like officially in the church in front of everyone, and I was like, yes, that's how I want to get baptized. I want to get baptized in front of everyone. I want to celebrate. I want it to be a celebration. I want to be like born again. He was like, well, to do that, you need to. There are ways. He said like it's not illegal for you to go abroad and do it, but we as priests in a Muslim country, we don't have the legal right to baptize ex-Muslims. We don't have the right. And that really angered me, brother. It really pissed me off, man. Because brother, I know I kind of like, of course, I just kind of mentioned about my spiritual journey and the and all these things, but even in my normal life, like because coming from a mixed family, leaving Islam very early, it kind of isolated me even socially from a very young age.
Yeah.
With the rest of the Muslim population. And also I didn't go to the same schools. I went to American school. I do speak Arabic too. Like I can speak fluent Arabic, fluent French. But I was always treated like an outsider. Like you're one of us, but you're not really one of us. You know what I mean? And so when this happened, like I cannot even be baptized. So like now I find my home. Finally, I find my God, my home. I don't want to leave it. And now this system that was isolating me is now telling me that I can't be baptized here. And I got really angry. And that's why I went, to Thailand. Yeah, that's why, I didn't know where I wanted to go, but I just came here for vacation and I liked it. It's a beautiful place. And I also met a large, Christian community here. So I was, I felt at home. So I stayed here and I kept studying. And then eventually I got baptized last year.
Praise God.
And thank you, brother. Thank you. And my other username, Paul Daniel, that I usually use, that's my baptism name, Paul Daniel. Yeah.
Wow. So this is you tried everything. You have one of those stories where you tried everything. And then finally tried Jesus and he stuck.
Yeah, bro.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing that story, man. And I know there's parts that you left out too, and it was still this deep. That was a very deep story, man. So I appreciate you for sharing that and giving us the opportunity to hear that. And I pray that many people, because you weren't just Muslim, you were a lot of things. You tried a lot of things. So I pray that atheists and Rastafarians and Muslims, Buddhists, I pray that all of them get to hear this and get curious about Jesus. I pray.
Thank you, brother. Yeah, brother.
Yeah.
And can I just say this, brother? Yeah, thank you for that. And I felt like God really has a sense of humor, man. Because all my life I was based in Buddhism, like Buddhist, like spirituality and stuff like that. Although I went to other parts, but they're also connected to the same thing. God decides to make me a Christian and then send me to a Buddhist country. Thailand is a Buddhist country. I come here, and so like I mean, before I came here, I was like, I don't even know how I'm gonna feel about this, because all my life I uh, I admired and deeply respected that Buddhist philosophy,
Right.
spirituality, all these things. And I come here, and so I didn't know what was like. I mean, what was gonna like be my reaction. But when I come here, it's very strange, man. It's like I'm seeing all of that I was, but from a different perspective. And this perspective is like when I look at, and of course, I mean, I'm not like, I mean, I don't say this with any disrespect or anything for those people, but it's like, if only they knew, if only they knew Christ, brother.
Yeah.
I was there, and I used to, because the like this country is not exactly a conservative, or it's very liberal, and I'm
Right.
not that kind of person. I'm not that kind of person. So I I'm actually thinking of like leaving soon. I don't want to stay here, like like make this my second home. I mean, I like it. It's nice.
But then who's gonna tell them?
Yeah.
Who's gonna tell them? You know what it's like. You know their philosophy. You know.
Yeah.
So who's gonna tell them? Who better than you?
I'm trying. I have conversations like this with people, like whenever I find an opportunity. Yeah,
Good.
and yeah, brother.
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
Well, you got your plans and have ideas for your life, but think about it a little bit more. About where
Mm.
you can, because you're like you see it. You see, like, if only these people knew Christ. If only they knew Christ. I don't think that you're there for no reason, and I don't think that you went through this journey and studied what their philosophy for no reason. I don't think that all of that was for no reason, and so I think that you can definitely reach a lot of them for sure. So, yeah, I have time for one more guest, but so thank you, Omar. Appreciate you, man. Love you, brother. Thank you
I
so
love you
much.
too,
May
brother.
glory to God for you, and
Thank you, brother.
may He
Appreciate you.
increase you. All
Amen,
right,
brother. Amen. Thank you so much, brother. God bless
of
you.
course.
Thank you.
God bless.
And
God bless.
could we I mean, I sent you a message. Could you just please see it so that we could keep in touch, maybe? So
Yeah,
we can,
yeah. Where'd you message me on TikTok?
on TikTok, yeah.
Okay, try to message me again, because
Okay, for sure,
I
for
need it.
sure. I
I
will.
need it at the top.
It's so, brother, it's a little hard because when I texted you, I cannot text you back unless you follow me. So that's the thing.
So, on what account did you message me on?
It's I think on the first one. It's hold on, excuse me. Like, are you asking about my account or your account?
The account that your account. Which account did you
Oh,
use to message me?
so like
The Paul Daniel one?
yeah, but my username now there for now is Omar. I will, yeah, Omar Sheikh Lee, right?
Omar
That's
Sheikh Lee. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, I'll try. Cause I get a lot of messages, brother. So it's gonna be. If it's
Sure,
not at
I
the
know.
top, it's flooded.
I understand.
You know.
I mean, I mean, like, do you prefer I send you like an?
Yeah, you can email me. I mean, all of this stuff gets flooded, but email me. Just do something. If you can't message me on TikTok again, then you try to email me. I lost his connection. Okay, I hope he was able to hear that at least. Fatima, how you doing?
Bro, we're gonna have to work on how you say my name.
Is it? How do I say it?
Fatima.
It's Fatima.
Yes, I was on a live stream last time and you got my name wrong.
Yes, I
Apparently
did.
it didn't sink in.
It didn't. I did not get that revelation.
It's okay. You got it now, though. You
I got it now. Fatima. It's funny because Fatima is how I usually naturally say it, but I've heard it so many times as Fatima now, so I just say Fatima now. But okay, Fatima.
Oh yeah. So just so you know, I am at a restaurant. So if times get tough and it's hard to hear, just let me know and I'll go to my car. Okay.
Okay, I'll let you know.
Okay. So like, how do I start? What do I say?
Well, you start with you being, you know, how you were a Muslim, how you believed in it, and when you started to doubt, and then when you finally came to Christ.
Okay, sounds like an easy baseline.
Yeah.
So I'm Iraqi. I grew up in the Midwest. I'm still in the Midwest, you know,
Mm.
corn or whatever. So basically, my family and I immigrated to America when I was a baby from Iraq and Syria. So my mother and father of origin and me came to America that way. I think we came as refugees. I don't actually know the whole lore, but that's what I've come to understand of it.
Mm.
So I grew up Muslim. I came to know the Lord when I was 12. When I was Muslim,
12.
yeah,
Wow.
it was pretty incredible. So a lot of why I converted was because actually I had a teacher. I went to this inner city middle school and I had this teacher who shared the gospel with me. It
Mm.
took about several months before, you know, of me like building trust with him for him to
Mhm.
like for me to feel like, okay, like this guy kind of knows a thing or two about Jesus. And
Mhm.
but before that, like a lot of why I started confiding in him was because I grew up in a really abusive situation. So it was a very hard place to live. It was a
Mm.
really negative environment. And so I started getting depressed. My depression like started when I had to start covering my hair with the hijab.
Mm.
I think I was about 9 years old when it started because that's when they believe you become a woman in some sense,
Yep.
womanhood or whatever. So I started covering my hair, and around the same point, I didn't like it. I didn't understand why I had to cover my hair. I didn't understand a lot of stuff like that. So I just started becoming depressed because of the way I was getting treated
Wow.
um, as a woman. We went back to Iraq when I was 10 to visit some family due to a family member's passing. And I think that was like the most enlightening, in a horrible way, experience I've ever really had. Like I would never go back there. God would have to move a mountain to get me to go back to the
Mm.
Middle East because it's not a healthy place. I was in Iraq, and so um, I was severely mistreated. And I mean, mind you, I was only 10. I remember rarely being able to leave the house in the Middle East.
Mhm.
And if I did, I had to be accompanied by an older person or a man.
Yep.
And um and there were just a lot of things that were really toxic about, I mean, just really abusive, honestly. It's actually to the point in my life now where I have a hard time seeing a Muslim family and not thinking there's probably more than what meets the eye, you know? Because I
Yeah.
dealt with so many Muslim families that I just regularly saw abuse take place, and it was just a normal thing.
Mm.
So, yeah, so I was just a really depressed kid, and I started self harming. And
Mm.
it got to the point when I was 12 years old, and I just remember like I was practicing the Islamic stuff. I was fasting, I was praying, and it just wasn't working. It wasn't helping. And so I remember just praying, like not even really praying, but I just remember saying like, God, if you're real, you're gonna have to save me, because if you don't, I'm just gonna end it all, because I didn't feel like I had a reason to live. And so I that's when I met my teacher. I actually got put in the accelerated math program because they found out I was a smart nugget. Not all that smart. I mean, but smart enough to be in the accelerated math program at my middle school.
Yeah.
So, and my teacher, he was new and he was coming in as just a fresh teacher for that school. And so I got I got to know him, and I remember like this is what started it was I looked at him. It was after school one day, and I was like, "Oh yeah, my parents don't really think my parents don't really like me very much." I remember just saying something like that offhanded. And he was like, "Really? I like you. Like, can I call your parents and tell them how great you're doing at school?" And I was like, "No, don't do that. I'll get in a lot of trouble if they hear anything about me." Like they want to be as away from my situation as possible.
Mm.
And so like an example of that would be was when I would lie to my parents and tell them we were required to go to parent teacher conferences because I really wanted to know what my teachers thought of me. And so my parents, being immigrants and not really knowing a lot of the school system, they just believed it. And so they were really scared of getting in trouble. So they just decided to go. Um, Bro, I was a manipulative child. I learned it from my parents, though.
That's
Bro,
good.
I know, I was crazy. But anyway, so so I remember like just it was really a depressing experience for me being in like in sixth grade. because people would pick on me because I look different. I mean, it makes sense. Like, it's not nice or right, but people would tease me. I was kind of like the scapegoat of my class. And so I just got to a point where I was like, no one really cared about me, I felt like. And I just started kind of like giving up in life. But then I remember telling my teacher about like the way I was feeling. And I remember like he went to the board and he wrote, this was after school, he wrote the words faith, hope, and love on the board. And he said, like, do you know what these things are? Like, what do those mean to you? And I just said, I don't know. And I don't care. It doesn't matter to me because why, I remember specifically saying, why would I have hope if I'm just going to be disappointed? And he has just explained what hope was to him. And it was a very unique experience, I guess, because I had never seen hope in that way. And so basically what ended up happening was after several months, he asked me, he said, why don't you write down a list of questions you have about Islam and Christianity? And I said, bet, say less, because I'm quite the debater spirit. And so I thought, man, I'm just going to destroy this guy's faith. So that's kind of my attitude. As this little 6th grade kid, I was bright, but I wasn't that bright, bro. Okay. Yeah. So I don't remember. I don't remember most of the questions. I only remember the last one. And it was like, if God loved me so much, why would he let me have parents that like made bad decisions? Or why would he let me have parents that do this? And if God loved me, why is there evil in the world? Was the crux of the question, essentially. And he did not answer it in the way I expected. Instead, he actually just prayed for me. And he asked if he could pray for me. I said, sure. And he literally prayed for me. I'd never seen a Christian pray. And so he just like the fact that you could just call on God at any given moment was so insane to me. And he just said things like, Father, take her into your arms. I know you're pursuing her. Just stuff like that's so personal.
Yeah.
And I remember tearing up a little because it was just moving, but I didn't know what it meant. So then I go home and I had a tablet at this time when tablets were a thing. And I went on my little incognito browser mode and I Googled how to be a Christian because I didn't even know where to start. It was crazy times, bro. And so that's kind of what started me being a Christian. I did have to hide my faith for several years. I hid it from ages 12 to almost 18. It was a really hard experience hiding it. And I would say like things like my circumstances did not get better. Like the things around me, my family did not treat me better. But I think the difference was that like I had a hope in something greater.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it just changed my mindset. It gave me a resilience. It gave me a reason to fight. And so I told them when I was 17, oh my gosh, the lore on this is crazy. Because when Ramadan was starting. This was like during the pandemic. It was 2020. April 17th, 2020 is the day I told them because my brother had started. I have 4 younger siblings. So my brother actually came up to me and said, hey, I'm starting to doubt Islam. And, you know, when you hear your brother say that, you take it and run, bro. You like, he opens the door, you drive a train through that thing. Like and so I started giving him like all the evidence I could think of in apologetics. And he was not too happy with me. So he ends up telling my parents. And, you know, Ramadan is a week away. So I remember just saying like my parents were lecturing me this one night and they were like, you know, you're the eldest. You have to start upholding the mantle of Islam, the traditions and all this. I was sitting there in my head and I was like, Lord, if now is the time, you're going to have to see me through it. That was the only thing I said in my head. And I looked at my mom and my dad. I was like, Mom, Dad, Jesus is Allah. And everything just
Oh wow.
Actually, that's a bad pun. Actually, that's not. I did not mean for that to be a pun. I'm so sorry. People in my life do that, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Nah, Fatima, you'd fit right in with me and my cousins.
That makes me feel better.
Yeah, you'll fit right in with us.
Yeah. Yeah. So I ended up telling them, and I mean that night was really hard, actually. And the next morning, we all woke up and it was like as though nothing had happened. They were like, oh yeah, you're still planning on fasting and praying with us. And I remember trying to change the subject because I realized all I could think of was they have no clue what, like they're totally oblivious to what happened the night before. And so I remember going upstairs after that conversation with them about like the next day and how Ramadan was coming up. And I felt like on my heart, God was like, you need to read Ezekiel. And I'm like, why would I read Ezekiel? That's so lame. Just the typical conversations I have with the Lord. And so I went and actually opened that book. And I'll never forget the chapter. I don't remember what chapter it is. I haven't been able to find it since. I might have been delusional. Who knows? But I read, "You will sit with your people and mourn for 7 days." And that is like, I'll never forget. That is like exactly what happened. So I know this is a kid friendly channel, not really, because I was in the chat section and I saw some crazy stuff. But I started my, like, women, when they're on their periods, they can't pray or fast in Islam. So I started it, and it lasted exactly 1 week, and I was totally free of all Islamic responsibilities for 1 week. And but then day 7 comes, and the police get called because things just go down. Like my parents, my mom started saying like, "No, you have to pray with us. You're lying." So she sends my baby sister upstairs, who's about 8 at the time or 7, and she tells her to tell me that it's time to pray. And I looked at my sister and I said, "Tell them I'm not doing it." And I said it with that same spunk. And so she goes downstairs and tells them. I get on my phone and I turn on the voice recorder app because I know it's about to go down. And so they come upstairs. My mom comes upstairs after prayer, and I had been reading the what was it? Ephesians 6, the take on the full armor of God, because I just knew it was going to go down. And so it did. My mom came upstairs. She screamed, she yelled. What my mom, like, she used to hit us, my siblings and I, but she started just hitting herself because I was older, and it just was not like wise to hit an adult, like a young adult, because I could hit back at that point. And she was also, so she would hit herself, like she would self-flagellate. So she would just like slap her face. And
Really?
yeah, it was really like actually very traumatic.
Wow.
And so I ended up, yeah, so the police come that night because I get a voice recorder. And at this point, I also have a burner phone because they took away my real phone at that point. And so someone had snuck me a burner phone because they knew that, like, we all knew it was going to happen. They were going to take the phone away. And so I get on my burner phone and I call someone and I'm like, "Hey, they just told me to like cut myself, to kill myself. They told me like they were
They
in
told you
Marriott."
to do this?
Yeah,
They told you to kill yourself.
they told me to go to my closet and end my life. Yeah. So it was just really bad stuff. So I caught it all on recording. My friend calls the police come, and then DCS, the Department of Child Services, comes. And by that point, it's like 2 a.m. It was a really rough night. And it was like, like darkest night of the soul type of vibes. Cause I remember it was raining and I was sitting outside and just in tears, like, "God, where are you now?" I remember like I'll never forget like how heavy that was. And DCS, like, the system is very broken. I'll start by saying that. They have my parents and me sign a contract saying they won't hurt me for the next like so many days. And I'll never forget that being like, bro, what's the point of this? This isn't gonna help.
Yeah.
And so I signed the contract, they signed the contract. And what the crazy part was is my parents don't speak intensely fluent English. Like they can carry a conversation, but not well. And so my mom would say things in English and then she would in Arabic say, "See, they don't care about you. They're not listening to you." Like she would say stuff like that in Arabic, and no one understood except for me and my siblings. And that was really hard because I felt like so defenseless. I felt like, who's going to care? So then one of my friends freaks out. And mind you, when I say friends, I mean old people. Like I didn't have a lot of friends my age. So my old person friend freaks out and she calls the police the next day. And she's like, "Why would you leave her there?" Like she's raising up a storm in the department. And so the police, so in that same day, my mom had left my brother and me home there alone. And so the police come and literally pick me up and just take me to a police station. And I get interviewed. I get interviewed by like people that like forensic people that evaluate children for abuse. And at that point, the only way I could get out of my house with enough time for the police to investigate was if I was put in a psychiatric unit. And so I had to plead suicidal ideation. And at that point, I would say I wasn't yet. But so I ended up in the psych ward for like 12 days while they do an investigation. Of course, it comes uncorroborated because they wouldn't look at the voice recording because they couldn't translate it. And I'm sitting there thinking like, you can't identify slap noises. You can't identify like spitting without needing to translate it. Like they spat in my face. You can hear that. You can hear these things. And so they didn't have time. So when the psych ward was done, I got put back with my family. And that was like a really intense 3 months. So I like at that point, I would say like I had the therapist at the hospital said that I was starting to develop signs of PTSD because it was just so intense. And so when I got put back with my parents, they everything was good for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I was naive enough to think, man, maybe like things will get better. And because things were just in the honeymoon phase and they were really good for a couple weeks. But then I started noticing like they would make these comments of like, this is the daughter we raised. She's failed us yet again. Like just small, like digging into you comments. And so I remember just like I started identifying maybe they don't want me around. So then I would just stay in my room all day. Well, when I'd stay in my room, they'd get really upset that I wasn't spending time with the family. So then I would go downstairs. Same thing would happen. And I remember just being like so confused because it was like nothing I could do was satisfying what they wanted. And so I started getting really depressed because I started like thinking it was all my fault. I started thinking like, well, if I just wasn't Christian, maybe they would care about me. Maybe if I like, I started believing all these lies about, I mean, I'd already believed a lot of lies, but I started thinking like maybe I did bring like trauma into the house. Maybe I did bring all this evil and stuff. And I mean, it's because I was 17 and been abused my whole life. Like I didn't know to think anything better. And so things started getting really bad. And I remember my mom coming up the stairs one day and being like, listen, your cousin in the Middle East, like he's looking for a wife. And I know you really liked him when you were 10. Maybe it's time to get married. And I was, so then I was like, yeah, whatever. I was really nervous about that. So I ended up telling someone who then told someone else who told my case manager from DCS. And that woman was crazy. She came over and she asked me in front of my parents. She was like, are you planning on getting married off? I looked at her and all I could think of was, if I say yes and you leave me, I'm in big trouble. If you say no and you leave, if I say no and you leave me, then you're going to abandon me and you're going to think nothing's wrong. So I ended up, I just screamed at her. Honestly, I was like, you need to get out. Like, you're crazy. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. And I was panicking and I was crying. And at that point, like my mom was very manipulative. So she thought she had like kind of achieved something with me as far as having leverage because she saw that I was so scared of how she would react. So, which meant I also had leverage. And so I knew like if I acted a certain way, I would have her be appeased, I guess. And so everything started kind of spiraling when my brother came back to me with a debate. He wanted me to watch this debate between like Shabir Ali or something, like a really old Muslim. I guess he might have passed away. I don't know.
He's still alive. Shabir Ali is still alive.
Oh, he is? Okay, yeah. He wanted me to watch a debate between him and a Christian and how the Muslim won and everything. And so I remember looking at him and being like, you don't actually care about my salvation. You just want to be right and you want me to believe what Islam says. And I'll never like I believed in spiritual warfare at this moment because you could see his face like contort. There was like evil in his eyes. I don't know how to describe it, but he said that's exactly right. And so I was like, get out of my room. Like I'm not doing that. And so he starts punching doors, slamming, like punching walls, screaming. And my mom makes me go downstairs and she's screaming. And at this point she had like torn her shirt, like her gown down the middle, like it had buttons and she was so upset. She was beating her chest, slapping herself. She made me bring down all my books and she ripped each one after the other. She told me she had burned my Bible because I couldn't find my Bible at that point. She said, don't worry, I burned it. And I think what was really sad was like my dad the whole time just sat there. He didn't do anything. When he thought it was enough, he said, okay, that's enough, honey. Like you said that to my mom, like you've done enough. But as sad as like all that was, like there was this hint of like hope, like this glimpse of hope, because we had a baby staying at our house at this time she was really cute and she could just barely walk, just do baby things. And she came up to me in the middle of that and she gave me the biggest hug around my legs and she just looked up at me and just was smiling. I'll never forget that because it was like God was like, I see you in me, like I see the innocence, like and I saw it in that innocent baby. And all the while, like my mom's just doing this. And I'll never forget, like she was like everything in that moment, that baby, because it just was so much hope for me. And so my mom finishes and then she makes me hug her, which was just really like despicable when I look back at it, because the term would be dissociated. Like I was so spaced out because I just couldn't, she wouldn't let me cry. Like if I started tearing up, she would scream at me. So I couldn't cry. And so she just made me hug her and then she gave me a kiss and then sent me upstairs. And at that point, she had started forcing me to pray with her. Like that was the moment she said, you will start praying with us. And I remember like she tried making me say the Shahada. And I just like, I look back and it's hard to even admit like I did say it and I did start praying with them because I don't know that I had another choice. I couldn't just run away. I was 17. I could have been put in jail for that in my state, because that's the law here. I mean, I just didn't have a lot of options, and so I I decided I did the thing, and at that point, I became very like suicidal because I just felt like I renounced everything I believed in. And I remember like my mom would say like my baby sister was standing by the steps, and I really care about my baby sister, so this was a very like sad experience for me. But my mom my mom stood by the stairs with her, and she said, "Oh yeah, we're all going to hell because of what Fatima did." And you could just hear my sister wailing and crying and like, "I don't want to go to hell because of her. What did I do that's so wrong?" And that's like a memory like I can't think too hard about because it still chokes me up. But that's kind of like just what was going on, and it was really hard for me to go through that. And I ended up so I got into contact with a woman from it's the Tahiri Justice Initiative, or Tehrani. I don't remember how it's pronounced, the first word, but it's an organization in the United States that helps women who are being put into forced marriages. And so there was a woman on there who's kind of like a case manager, lawyer, advocate type of thing. And I was texting her because I had no way of talking to her on the phone. And so she was able to get a hold of my case manager and tell my case manager how to interview correctly. So all the while, what's going on is I'm starting to pray with my family, but I'll never forget because you have to cover your hair with the hijab. I had a headphone, like a wireless AirPod, that I snuck into one ear, and I'll never forget like listening to "What a Beautiful Name It Is" by Hillsong while praying with them. And I wouldn't say like I actually invoked Allah or anything. Like, I didn't pray to Allah. I was actively trying to fight against that in my own defiant, small ways. So the case manager ends up coming with another case manager. And so that case manager takes me upstairs and interviews me. And she literally, I'll never forget looking at her, like word for word saying, "If you don't get me out of here, I'm going to kill myself, or they're going to kill me. Like, I'm going to kill myself beating them to the punch," is what I said. And so she was like, they were just so confused because they were like, "You've been a Christian since you were 12. Why does it matter now?" And I'm like, they know. That's the point. Like, they know that, my faith. And so it was just a really bad situation. And so I ended up getting removed that day. I got put in the psych ward for like another 17 days while court proceedings are going on. And then I ended up getting put in foster care. I stayed in several foster homes over the course of 2 years or so. Some good, some not good. It's just the nature of the system. And like with all that to say though, I mean, I just look at God's providence through everything because literally like, I don't think like I wouldn't have survived either at their hands or at my hands, especially like I was so low. And like, I think something that's like, I would like to see a lot more of Muslim people, like ex-Muslims talk about is like what it does to you, like to go through something like that. Cause like, yeah, it was persecution, but it was also traumatic. It was also deeply like scarring. And I would say I'm recovering. My family doesn't talk to me now. I've tried reaching out to them and connecting but they don't stay in touch with me. They don't really want to, is what I've gathered. And so I would say it's hard, like, because I don't really have connections. I'm in a new city right now, and so I don't know a lot of people, and it feels pretty alone. But like, I also want to like, I never want to like end it there because, like, God has been kind to place me. Like, God has put me with people everywhere I go. Like in school, in grade school, like I had teachers, and I'm in college now. I have some professors. God is like, I have a church body. I've been deeply cared about in ways that I don't deserve. Bro, I left you speechless. You good? No, don't start crying. I'll start crying. Sorry.
It's still the joy that you have and how you speak. You're still very light, and and joyful and funny and loving. It's amazing, man. It's amazing what God does with you through all of that. Man.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was hard and it's taken me a long time. I would say, like, it's been about 6 years. I'm almost 24 now. It's been really hard to recover. Like, when I was in foster care, I was always suicidal. I was always like trying to hurt myself. I was always like doing stupid stuff. I had a really hard time.
Yeah.
And I would say the thing that's made a difference, I mean, like, I don't, like, the joy literally comes from knowing that, like, despite all of that, I have this God who delights in me. Like, my dad didn't delight in me. He didn't care about me. And I'm sure he cared about me. He just didn't know how to do it. But, like, the fact that, yeah, I went through hard things, but God sustained me and God kept me is what matters. And, like, I have such a heart to just like, because I think that's the thing when it comes to Muslim people, they don't have a concept of love. They don't have a concept of unconditional love, unmerited, unearned favor. Like, they don't. And so my prayer is so deeply like that I would be someone that reflects and represents love, like God is love, in a way that is transformative. Because, yeah, it's been hard, but I think it's the suffering that produces perseverance, like what Paul talks about in scripture.
Exactly.
And perseverance produces character. And so I don't know that I'd go through it again just for the outcome, but I know, like, God has used it in ways to shape and mold me. And
you know how many people would falter to what you've gone through? How many people have? They've faltered, they've given up, they've ended it, they've abandoned, just let go of God, but you held on after all this time. You were forced to say your Shahada again and start praying, but you still held on to the gospel. You still cling to God, and you still want to now reflect that love that he has had and shown you over all these years, with your family completely cutting you off. You was even able to see God's love through the smallest of signs, through the baby holding you, hugging you. You was able to see God reaching you and sticking with you. He didn't go anywhere. And things got harder, tougher, but he didn't go anywhere. And now here you are, able to reflect the light of Christ. You're able to reflect the power of Christ through your testimony, through what you can share. It is extremely powerful. You blessed me today. And I know you bless thousands that are going to listen to this and hear this more. Man, wow.
Because, like, I think it means a lot to hear that, because I was actually with my therapist today and we were talking about, like, how sometimes I still feel, like, ashamed of my story because it's so heavy. And so it just means a lot that you would say that, because it's just like, okay, I don't have a reason to be ashamed.
Oh, not at all. Not at all. Your story it brings so much glory to God, brings so much glory to Christ. That's why it's hitting me like this, because this is the God that we serve, man. This is the God that we serve, a God that doesn't go anywhere. And he promises us that there's going to be suffering. He tells us there's going to be suffering. There's going to be hardship. And he guarantees us that he's going to be there in the midst of our storm. In the midst of the waves hitting, the storm and the winds blowing, he's going to be there. He's going to have us walk the waves like he told Peter to walk, and so much glory to God. So much encouragement through you and through what God has done through you, through your testimony. It is extremely powerful. Don't you ever shut up about it, ever. Do you hear me? Don't you ever shut up about it. You tell the world what God has brought you through, what he has been with you through. Because I'm telling you, like, you'll watch this back and you'll hear how you're telling the story about this trauma and darkness, and you're so light. You see, like, I don't see any darkness on you. You talk about how you have this trauma, and I believe you, but I don't see it on you. I see the light of Christ. The glory and radiance of God is on you, and your skin's glowing. So you feel me? So it's both and, it's amazing, Fatima. It is amazing what God. Thank you so much for coming up here and glorifying God with your testimony. And matter of fact, we might have to do this again with more streams. You keep watching, and I do more streams. You come up and again, we want to hear it again. Okay, I'm serious. I'm so serious. Wow. So, what then would you say to the Muslim who is young and stuck in their house? They can't just leave their house, right? They can't escape their family like that. They're trapped. If it may feel like they're trapped, stuck. They're young. They know Jesus, and they're hiding their faith or want to hide. They don't know what to do. How would you encourage this person?
That's a great question. I've never been asked that, but I think the thing that encouraged me when I was in grade school, like, was that God will meet you where you're at. I mean, and the reason I say that is because I didn't have a church body. The first time I stepped into a church was when I was in foster care when I was 18. So that would be the first thing, is like, you don't need the fancy stuff. You don't need the discipleship. You don't need the resources. Like, God is the resource. I learned about the Bible without anyone teaching me. I taught myself. But more than that, God taught, like, the Holy Spirit taught me. And so it's like, and I would say you will never be more dependent on God than where you are right now, because the moment you step out of that and you have the freedom to follow God, that's like, it's been a real fight. Because I don't depend on it in the same way I used to. Like, it used to be a fight for me. It used to be like this is my source of truly my daily bread. Now I have like bread from Kroger and daily bread. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I have these competing elements. So it's like, don't think the grass is greener on the other side. What you have with Jesus is so sweet and so unique to you, and to just be able to walk in that. And I also, like, I could say so much, but it's also like don't believe the lies of the enemy when he says you're alone and you're trapped and that it's never going to get better. Like, just fight, man. Cause it's not, that's all I could, like, if I could say anything, like, fight the good fight of faith, because it's so worth it. So I don't know, I could rant on that forever, but that's basically baseline what I'd say.
That's so good. That's so good. Fatima. See, I still want to say Fatima. Thank you so much. I love you. We love you. Praying for you, praying for your strength, and may he increase you in every way, shape, or form, in your courage, in your stability, in your favor. May God cover you always and give you strength to continue to share the glory of God with everyone that you can. You've reached so many people today, and you're going to reach so many people, more people, when this drops. So thank you. Yeah.
And I just want to say, like, I love your content, but more than that, like, you're doing some hard stuff. You're talking to people who have hard hearts, and I'm just praying for you too, like, that God would just soften the people around you and just give you the encouragement that you need to keep doing it, because you're doing good work, and I see it, man.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm gonna go get something to eat, and
for real.
I'm gonna make sure that all the crying part is edited out, because that never happened. All I made it appear like it happened, right? Right, Fatima? All I made it appear. All right, cool.
Yes,
so we're on the same page. God bless you. Have a good rest of your day, okay?
Bye.
Bye-bye. Man. Let me read some of these last super chats that I gotta cut out here, because that was powerful. Absolutely powerful. Oh, man. Isn't our God amazing? How he's brought all these people out. Someone as sweet as Fatima, at 12 years old, coming to the knowledge of the Lord and hanging onto him tightly against the odds of the abuse and manipulation of her family. God still strengthened her and stuck with her. He does the same for all of us, for you, for the Muslims that's listening to this, For the Muslims that are listening to this and you're interested in Christianity, but you're afraid of what your family might think and you're afraid of the trouble you might get in, God's got you. I promise you, the true God, he's going to keep you. There is nothing that they can do. There's nothing your family can do, your father or your mother, your husband or your wife, son or your daughter. There's nothing that they can do. There is nothing that they can do that can strip you from the love of the true God. Nothing. There's not a thing that they can do to strip you from the love of God. They can abuse you. They can revile you. They will slander you. They will lie on you. They will try to manipulate you. There is nothing that they can do that can strip you from the love and the power of God, of Christ, of our Heavenly Father, of the Holy Spirit, the promise of the Father that he's given us. The true God, in the midst of your storm, persecution, slander, lies, physical abuse, the Holy Spirit, the true God, lives in you through all of that, lives in you, dwells in you. God is with you.